Oh, hi there. I would like to talk about the Canucks draft picks for 2017, as well as other notable mentions in the first overall pick. The Canucks, they selected Elias Peterson. I saw some highlights of him in a European League. Yeah, he looks like he can certainly make things happen, and he's got speed and he knows where to be. In those leagues, of course, the rink is much bigger, so you get a lot more free space and you're not bogged down in the middle by really sturdy defensemen, which is where his vulnerability is going to be. If given the opportunity, he can score goals, that much it looks like for sure, but I don't think he's going to get that opportunity. He looks as though he needs time and space to make things happen. I'm sure for a 5th round pick he's very good, but unfortunately I don't think he's going to be elite NHL caliber. I don't think any of these players in this particular draft are going to be. A couple of them do look like that. Yes, they'll be in the NHL. Will they be difference makers? No, they won't. Most of the Canuck draft picks we'll probably never hear from again. This, it's the reality of it. Only X amount of people can get into the NHL, and most of them already have a leg up. The 2nd overall pick, Nolan Patrick, has a whole family tree of athletes, with relatives who were in the NHL. His mother was a well-known volleyball player. His grandfather was in the NFL, or CFL, or something like that. I forget. I don't care. So he's already got his foot in the door. Like, you go and you take your children to go play hockey and you want them to be successful, you're immediately going to be at the disadvantage because you don't know where to go, you don't know who to talk to, and you got no connections. And unless they're absolutely phenomenal and unstoppable and really above and beyond anybody else in their class, then they're going to get absolutely nowhere. And the thing is, this is going to get worse as the years get on. Like, the hockey players of today, when they go to bring their children into the game, it's going to be like, sure, they'll have to work, and environments will be created where they have to really persevere and give it everything they've got, but they'll basically be shoo-ins. The cult of personality will be there, and the players that are in the NHL, the people associated with the NHL today, they don't want to leave the industry after they've retired, after they've passed on, all that. They want their future generations to be successful, and this is the business they're in, these are the connections they have. So it is an unfair advantage. I mean, Max Domi, I don't mind him, but he's a mediocre player, and you gotta admit, Ty Domi had a hand in him getting into the NHL. He's not going to be as successful as they would probably like, but that's just the reality. The 1st overall pick, Nico Hischier, however you say his name, he looks kind of impressive in some limited footage I saw of him on YouTube. It's worth just writing down all the top picks and then YouTubing them and see what kind of news feed and videos show up. Mostly it's going to be the interviews of them being grateful that they were selected, them being happy where they are. They don't say very much. They're all young guys. They don't know what to say. They just know that they're not allowed to say a lot of things. So that can make it difficult to speak sometimes. I wasn't overly impressed with him, to be perfectly honest, from what I saw. Like, sure, he can score goals and he can get to the dirty areas and also really contribute. But I think I would have picked Nolan Patrick over him, except for his injuries, which I guess it could be an issue. I don't know what his physical status is. If he got picked second overall, then he must be in recoverable shape. It just must have been a rough year for him or something. As far as the defenseman goes, Miro Ishiden was selected by Dallas. Butchered his name probably. He looked more like a defensive defenseman, what you would want at the back end. Somebody who's not going to make risky moves, maybe can get a goal here or there. But that's saying, look, we don't want a unique defenseman. We don't want someone who's different. We want someone who's going to fit into the mold of this organization. He was selected by Dallas. I think, yeah, that's right, he was. It was Nolan Patrick who was selected by Philadelphia. Okay, I'm gonna get my shit together. Yeah, so we'll see how that turns out. I believe the top 3 picks will make the NHL, maybe in a year or two. There is a chance that New Jersey's pick will make the playoffs. Not the playoffs, into the NHL, but we're going to have to wait and see. I don't think so in the first year. I think it'll be the second year before he comes in. 4th overall pick, Kale Markov. He looks like a guy who's willing to go up there and do things. He's going to contribute offensively, and to be honest with you, I don't understand why he's a defenseman in the first place. I think they are going to put him in, but he might be a bit of a floater. Like, he doesn't really situate with one team. He kind of moves around. I don't know. I just have that suspicion that he's not going to hang around, and anything can happen with any of these guys. Just because they got selected in the first round, and it's very big day for them, doesn't necessarily mean anything. In fact, with this tradition, most major NHL players, it's only every year or two that one will arrive from the draft pick. Most of them fade off into obscurity. In light of that, I think Trevor Linden has made the best decision that he could given the cards he was dealt. Although he does look like he could use a touch of gray for men. He's hair, and it's his hair that's making him look older. I don't know, that's just personal critique on my part. I'm not sure that it always looks that way, but in the interviews I saw of him recently, that's definitely how it looked. He's starting to get the old Clint Eastwood look about him. Well, not the same hairstyle, but you know, the same demeanor, I suppose. I don't know, maybe that's you know, not accurate, but I don't know. It kind of looked like that to me from certain angles. And as for Jim Benning, he had to make some decisions as well, and you really can judge a book by its cover sometimes. Like Mike Gillis, one of the first interviews I ever saw him in, I don't know what he was doing, if he was exercising at the time or whatever, but his hair was all messy and he was all greasy and sweaty, and I'm sure there's a reason they went, well, let's have this interview. No, don't wash your face before you do this interview. What those reasons are, I don't know, but he looked like, you know, like he wasn't going to be particularly good at his job, and he wasn't. Whereas Jim Benning, he kind of gives off like he's a wise old owl kind of character. You know, not particularly influential in the hockey world, I would think. It doesn't seem as though he can really get anything done as far as player movement goes, bringing anyone of any talent into the team for its, you know, the team's immediate success. You keep hearing about these people who constantly go, oh, you got to look to the future, you got to look to the future. Well, yeah, but when you perceive to be the future, when that's there and the Canucks hadn't accomplished what you thought they were going to, what are you going to say then? Oh, we got to look to the future, we got to look to the future. No, you can't do that. You got to do things now. That's why I don't want to, you know, bad rap the young guys are coming in. They've worked hard their whole lives, mostly because their parents manipulated them into liking hockey at a young age, and you know, just basically, you know, pushed them around into doing that. It's a whole thing. You know, that's just part of early life, really. But it is nice to, you know, grow up, become a man, and go, yes, I spent my life doing this, and I really enjoyed doing this, and I want to do this for the rest of my life. That is a very good thing. Certainly, cult of personality are words they would never speak in public. Especially for a mainstream audience. I highly doubt any of those young guys entering the league know anything about that, which is probably good for them because, as I've made clear, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. But them being selected so high up in the draft, clearly somebody's been overseeing their progress. Maybe they've been conditioned not to be too bothered by that. They must be cognizant of it, but it is a tad creepy. I mean, the NHL, it is a respectable organization, but you know, it's far from perfect in a lot of regard, and it's very hard to manage things as far as you know, from the top to the lower parts. What I mean by that is when the emperor's away, the general's in charge. When the general's away, the captain's in charge. When the captain's away, the private's in charge. So, you know, I'm not going to pretend I understand the hierarchy of the NHL, because I don't. But, you know, monkey see, monkey do. And This year, I didn't feel it. I didn't see any success stories really. Nolan Patrick, I believe, was in the top 5, was the best pick. It would have been nice if the Canucks could have gotten him, taken a chance on him, get a goal scorer. Not that Peterson's bad, but obviously he needs time and space, as I was saying, for him to get anything done. And there are a lot of shutdown players in the NHL these days because the rink really isn't big enough. It shouldn't be as big as it is in the European leagues, that's for sure. And they most certainly better not get grotesque advertisements put on their jerseys like they got in the European leagues, or that will just piss me off to no end. Yeah, I don't know. These players deserve a chance as well. I just think the odds are stacked up against them, and you ain't heard anyone going, yes, this guy's the future, this guy's going to be big, this guy's going to be great, he's done this, he's done that. Not like Sidney Crosby. From day one he's had people talking about him. And I've heard people adamantly deny that his parents had anything to do with it, or that they had any connections or any money or anything like that. Maybe he has some sort of story that we don't know about. Well, maybe it's not the right word. He does have a story that we don't know about, and it's a little bit of cheating. He doesn't play by the same rules as other people and other potential NHL prospects. He most certainly had a leg up, and that's an unfair advantage, and he's going to reap the rewards for it for many, many, many years. And it goes to show you that, you know, history gets written and people get put up on their pedestal, and sometimes it's just an unfair advantage. I would really like to see Connor McDavid push him out of his, his throne chair, because right now, according to everybody who watches the NHL, in particular Pittsburgh Penguins fan, Sidney Crosby is the best NHL hockey player in the world, which I do not agree with. And sure, he's a nice guy in real life to an extent. I mean, I'm sure once you get to that level, you become a bit of a bastard in some ways. That just comes with the territory. You don't really have a choice in the matter. Well, I mean, I suppose you do, but you know, there's varying factors that determine things. You know, one person I didn't mind actually was DiPietro, that the Canucks selected. They did make a comment that his size was an issue, that he wasn't really big enough to be a goalie. I don't think that's fair. I think you don't have to be a giant to be a goalie. I mean, most goalies these days are 6 foot and over. Ryan Miller is a very tall goalie. He's probably going to sign to Anaheim, from what I hear. I would say, you know, it was nice having you on board. I'm sure you're a good guy. You made a lot of money out of us and you didn't do anything. So good riddance. Not to be a jerk about it, but I would like to see the Canucks win, and part of the reason they weren't winning was because of Ryan Miller. I know some people aren't going to like that. In particular, some of the women that I talk to about hockey, they like Ryan Miller and don't ask me why. I don't even think about why certain people or opinionated on things that shouldn't really have anything to do with hockey. Anyway, he's probably going to go over to Anaheim. Maybe Markstrom steps up. I heard rumor they were going to sign some goaltender. I forgot his name. Not really a nobody, but I think he'd been around the NHL, but he wasn't anyone significant. So Markstrom would probably be the starter, and everyone said how good he was when he first came here, but he's underperformed. He's had mediocre seasons, and the Canucks have been terrible the last couple of years anyway, but goaltending has not helped. So Mike DiPietro, I have high hopes for him. I hope he makes the team, and I hope he's successful. But we're going to have to wait and see. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.